I want this video to be a community effort. Assetto Corsa can look beautiful, and I certainly think that my setup right now looks the part, but there's always someone somewhere that knows more and certainly does better. If anything, just perusing at the community's Discord, there's always somebody posting some of the most unbelievably beautiful screenshots. So today's video will be about how to make Assetto Corsa photorealistic. If you like these kinds of videos, press subscribe and also press the like button, that helps a lot. If you have a great graphical mod combination to share it in the comments below, it will certainly be useful. Before going there, there's a couple of things I need to mention as I think they're important. First of all, I'm colorblind, so what looks nice to me might not be the same to you. And secondly, the look I try to emulate is more what I perceive to be photorealism and natural, not necessarily what looks good in a screenshot or likewise edited in a stylized manner. And of course, what might look good in a monitor might not look great in another or in the phone. Of course, what works for me doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. Play around some, you might find something you like. To start, you're gonna need a few things. First of all, Content Manager to have access to the Custom Shaders patch and to easily tweak some effects. Custom Shaders patch cooks dynamic lights into Assetto Corsa in the 24-hour cycle, something that wasn't possible in Assetto before. CSP also adds grass effects, a new smoke effect system that even wraps around the wheel arches, particles, and even fireworks. There are many other things that exist in Custom Shaders patch. If you'd like a video with those features in mind, tell me below. If you are willing to part yourself with $1 or so a month, go to Ilia's Patreon to get the experimental Custom Shaders patch with rain effects. While not totally needed for this video, the feature is super interesting to have as it adds tons of immersion and charisma to your gameplay and screenshots. Next up, and recommended by the billionth time already in these videos, gets the latest Sol. Sol adds many weather types, including an ominous thunderstorm with amazing thunderbolts. In all honesty, with all the new features in Sol, some of them covered in the video presented in the card above, the weather customizability and transition generate a lot of interesting cloud covers, not being far from what is presented in Automobilista 2, for example. What you're going to need next is a post-processing filter, and what they do is change color reproduction and effects that will tone the pictures both in terms of colors but also in terms of moods. A post-processing filter I have enjoyed to use for many years is Natural Mod, as the filter attempts to replicate what eyes can see instead of a camera, lowering the performance cost of the PC as excludes some effects like bloom, while at the same time has quite an accurate color temperature. It looks pretty natural, hence the name. Another one that I find quite interesting lately, but has a cooler tone and is more on the heavy side, is Gran Turismo Sport's post-processing filter. This one requires a bit more pain to install as it has a slew of configurations that need to be copied and pasted. The result is actually quite interesting, copying the amount of bloom and reflection that GT Sport has, something that is not liked by everyone, but alas. Having the mods that you need, next up you need to configure it in Content Manager. There are many things that can be configured, but this video has more of a most important things. These choices should have your system in mind too. One with more performance can use more effects. An older system might require to ditch a few or a lot of the options for the sake of playability. In Content Manager, Assetto Corsa settings, you may choose your post-processing filter and quality. More quality, lower FPS as you would expect. The anti-aliasing filters operate in the same way. Now, reflections are something that you need to be careful with, as this becomes expensive real soon. 2 faces or 3 faces per frame seems to be a sweet spot for me with middling resolution. This allows for a good playability with over 100 FPS at 1440p. If more FPSs are needed, this is the place where you can get that performance back. So what this option does is makes for pretty looking reflections, which are necessary for that natural look. While you're here at this page, one thing I would recommend is to lower the blur. It just looks bad when playing in my opinion and uses quite a lot of FPS. On the Custom Shaders patch, there are a few things that you need to make sure that are active, mainly the shader itself, of course, extra effects, lightning effects, particle effects, rain effects if you have it, reflection effects, and weather effects. I won't go through all of them as the GT Sport files basically sets them up, but make sure that in weather effects the sol script is active and deactivates the blur and extra effects. In lighting effects and extra effects you can tweak some of the graphical options if you feel it can squeeze more out of your PC in terms of graphics. After starting a session, there are other things you can further do to change the settings to your taste using the sol config pages, like changing brightness, further color calibration, the brightness of sources during night and day, light pollution, and so forth. Generally, stock sol settings are already good to provide a balanced approach between graphical fidelity and performance. With that extra control, it will add flexibility to your artistic choices. I think the result is a good mix between graphical fidelity, color balance, photorealism, and performance at most circumstances, day or night, rain or shines. Assetto Corsa wasn't really made for all of these weathers in mind, so the results are quite fascinating no matter the circumstances. Graphical mods are definitely increasing the usability of Assetto Corsa. If you enjoyed this video, do subscribe and leave a like. Thanks for watching.